my name is Kirsty. Welcome to Kirsty Knits and Sews. This is my podcast where I share about all the things that I've been making. And in contrast to last episode where I had 2 months worth of making and so much to show you today, I have 4 things. I have made a lot of progress on at least one of those things, but I have 4 things. So welcome or welcome back. It is great to see you here. I hope that you have a drink, hot or cold, depending on where you are in the world. It is chilly here today. Not that chilly, it's about 10 degrees Celsius, but it is, or has been, pouring rain. The rain has stopped right this second. So for the school run this morning, it was in pouring rain, grey skies, quite dark. We have daylight savings here, and that will kick in, I think, in 2 weeks' time. And I have to say, I am looking forward to having it lighter earlier again. It is miserable and dark at the moment. I live in Rzeszów in Poland with my husband and my kids. So Northern Hemisphere in autumn. I wanted to go mushrooming, but the weather has not really cooperated for that. It's either been too cold or too wet, or it needs to be wet and warm, which we did have a couple of days, and we thought maybe this morning we'd go mushrooming, but then it was pouring rain. So we haven't been mushrooming this year. We probably won't get mushrooming this year, and that's okay. But we're here to talk about crafting, knitting mostly. In fact, knitting today is what I've got. You can find me on Ravelry as Kirsty Knits and Sews, and I have the group linked down below if you want to share what you've been making in the group. I also am on Instagram, but I haven't been posting much over there. Most of what I do is right here on YouTube, so you're in the right spot. I am wearing a dress that I made last year. It is an Advent dress. If I stand up, it is a dress. Peekaboo. It does have a multicolour hem, and that is just the way that mini was dyed to do that effect. There is no pattern for this dress. I designed it, made it up, but it's basically just a raglan jumper, essentially, that I've then extended into a dress. I probably did some kind of increases. I don't remember what they were. But yes, I did do some kind of increases to get it over my hips. Anyway, raglan jumper extended into a dress and an I-cord bind off. This was an Advent from last year that me and some friends dyed and swapped ourselves. So it's not a commercially dyed one, but everything is, it's not commercially dyed, it's not indie dyed for sale, but everything is hand dyed by me and my friends. So that was really fun. We are doing it again this year, and mine arrived yesterday. So that is set aside, waiting for December 1st. I'm very excited to do Advent again. But I do want your help. If you have any suggestions for Advent patterns, I'm really interested. This one I enjoyed because I was able to do it every day. It was pretty quick. But it is stripes of the colours. The previous one I did was also stripes, and they were even thinner. How many have we done now? I've lost track. Have we done 4 or 3? Anyway, one I did, it was much thinner, the stripes. This one with thicker stripes, and I saw more of the colour, but I would really like to see more of the colour again. And so I'm debating, the shawls that I'm looking at are stripy, and I'm not sure if I want to go stripy again. I've considered making the wallop cowl, which gives you chunks of each colour, really helps you see what they are. And my other option was like a crochet blanket, like doing squares or hexagons in a blanket. And that would really show off the colour a lot, but I don't know if I would then have to bring in colours from previous years to make it into a full blanket. I'm not sure. If you have any ideas for Advent patterns or just patterns that I can use 24 colours in, please let me know. I was thinking of doing a certain shawl, but then when I looked back at it, I was like, it's such thin bits of colours. If they were all tonals, I think it would be great, but this isn't necessarily all tonals because we don't have any We don't have any guidelines for colours. We aimed for pastel this year, did not hit the goal all the time, but we aimed for pastel and softer colours this year, and we based them on Jane Austen books. So anyway, I'll share that more with you in December as I am opening them and starting to knit on it. But if you have ideas for patterns, please let me know. Yeah, so this is what I made. The top colour here was part of the advent. It was the main skein. This one we did main skein and 25 minis. This year we've just got 24 minis, but I can get a colour to go with it if I want to. And I will link the project page for this down below, but I'm not sure how helpful it will be. And then I just held it the whole way through with an undyed mohair. So just like a cream off-white mohair the whole way through. I do love it. It is really great for just chucking on a cold day like today over leggings. The other thing that I didn't mention last time, because last time it was the 30th of September and I wasn't sure if I would finish something else. I didn't finish something else. So my stats for September, I finished 4 things and I used 353 grams. That was 3 pairs of socks and a repair for a vest, which I showed in my last episode if you want to have a look. It means year to date I've used 6,529 grams. So that's about 6,500 gram skeins that I've used this year. That's right, yeah, that's insane. Okay, I knit a lot, I enjoy knitting. Moving on. So I have 4 things to show you today. I have a pair of socks, a muscle bar, a jumper, and the West Mystery MusiKAL. Now, I'm going to save that one to the last. That is the one that I've worked on most, but I'm saving it to last so that if anyone doesn't want spoilers, those spoilers will not happen, or you can switch it off or whatever. So let's start with the one that I'm pretty sure I showed you last week. I have done a bit more work on it, but not a huge amount really. And this is a pair of socks. That bag is falling over. So this is opal yarn. I do my socks. These are vanilla socks on Magic Loop by Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady. Pattern on Ravelry, very basic. Has a heel flap and gusset for the heel. And this is my go-to vanilla sock pattern. I do it on 2.5mm needles instead of the 2mm that she does. And, oh, it's in here. And this is the yarn that I'm using. Like I said, it's opal. And it is Opal Vincent. Here we go. Opal Vincent. So it's dyed based on this painting of Van Gogh's, and it is called Chair, Stool. Cool. It is colour 5436 if you're wanting to see if you can find it. I think there are still some shops in America that have this in stock. I haven't. The one that I found in the EU that had it in stock was in Ireland, and my friend tried to get some and they didn't have any more. So, or they may have had one colour left. So if you're interested, that's linked below, I think. But Vincent, Opal, Google it, see what you find. This is a bag I made myself, just a basic drawstring bag with cute little foxes. Not for this one, but for this style of bag, I do have a tutorial linked below. All the information about what you need to make it is in the tutorial. There's no pattern, all the information's there. So if you want to make some bags that are, I think in the tutorial they're about this size, but it's this design with a zip at the top. That's linked below. And I do also give information in the tutorial about changing the size. Very simple to do. All right, anyway, this sock. Size medium, Vincent Opal, the chair, or whatever it's called in English. I'm in the middle of the gusset. There you go. I'm in the middle of the gusset. I have my little stitch marker here telling me that that's the gusset. And I do put stitch markers on the front every 10 rows to make sure that the socks are the same length. So when I come to the second sock, I just move them over from the first to the second, and I have 2 matching socks. This is fun. This is the last one, I think, of the Vincent Opal that I have to make. So this is 6 of 6 or 7 of 7, something like that. I am losing steam a little bit. I haven't been working on socks as much because I have a muscle bar on the needles. But I did have a think the other day that I would like to make socks for 3 of my kids' teachers. And I would also like to make socks for my Polish teacher and her husband again. So if I do that, that's another 5 pairs of socks before Christmas. So I'm trying to decide whether or not that's reasonable or not. You can absolutely give your 2 cents below, but this month has just been pretty much the MusiKAL, so I haven't done much beyond that. Alright, this next one I'm doing a muscle bar, and this is with Pasquale Sayayama. I'm not saying that correct, and if you know how to say it, good job. It is colour 320. I bought this, can you even see the colour there? Yes, 320. I bought this, or my mum bought this, I should say, at the Ange in Wrocław. It's Bolivian llama and virgin wool blend. And I have to say, I don't even think I read that. I don't think I've ever knit with llama before, which makes this so much more exciting. I assumed it was alpaca, but no, Bolivian llama. That's so cool. All right, so this one we bought for the vest mend, or she bought for me to use to mend the vest, and then we decided that it wasn't the best match or colour. It's just navy, beautiful. It is showing up brighter on the screen than it is in real life, but that's all right, just straight navy. And I am going to come back and do some duplicate stitch to put a pattern on the top. But because I'm not doing colour work in the muscle bar, super duper easy. And I have 3 balls of 50 grams of the yarn, and I am not halfway through, but I'm onto the second ball. So what I need to do is weigh the first one, figure out, and then weigh the second one, figure out how much until I'm halfway through the yarn. Put a marker so I know that that's the middle of the hat, and then go back and weave in my end at the top and do the duplicate stitch pattern before I finish it, because I don't want to duplicate stitch once the whole thing is enclosed. I did do the cast on the right amount of stitches, split it over 2 needles, and just start knitting the pattern rather than any kind of special disappearing hole thing. And what I do now is I come back with this thread and I will pick up the stitches at the top, pull it through, and then sew the end in like I would on anything else, and that hole will disappear completely. It is a very, very easy way to do the cast on, and it means I don't have to stop and think and look up a tutorial. I usually just kind of made it work, but when I heard about this one and I tried it, and I was like, no, that is much, much easier. Yeah, so that's the muscle bar. I'm not quite halfway through, I don't know, maybe whatever it is, I'll do some measurements, but that is that, and it is great having a super simple project on the needles. I did take this one travelling, and I started it, and I saw Les Mis live, and I was planning to knit while I watched it, but our seats were such that we had to lean over the balcony to see what was happening on half of the stage. But it also meant that knitting wasn't super easy, and I actually just enjoyed the show, and I didn't feel the need to knit most of the time, so it was fine. Alright, this next project, I have made progress. So this is Alli's sweater, A-L-I-S sweater, by Sarah of S Knits. I bought the yarn for this from Miss Knitsky a long, long time ago. Here we go. It's Miss Knitsky Macarena DK, which I'm pretty sure she's discontinued now, but it is a 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon, and the colour is Midsummer Night, which I wonder if that's the same one I'm using over there. Midsummer Night is still a colour that she does, just the base I think is discontinued. This sweater was part of my 12 cast-ons, and if you don't know what that is, I do have a playlist where I talk about what it is and then have the 12 cast-ons that I did and walk you through what, basically they're mini vlogs of the day that I cast them on and what I was doing that day, but also casting on the project. But basically I cast on 12 different projects between the 26th of December and the 7th of January, and that was part of a cast on party that, or a knit along that that Ange of Yarn and Yarns does every year, and I am doing it again this year. So Ange is also holding a finishing frenzy knit along at the moment to get as many things off the needles as you can before cast on starts again in December. And so this is part of the cast ons and part of the finishing frenzy. But let me show you what it looks like. This is Alli's sweater. Has this beautiful colourwork. Again, that's showing up lighter on the screen, but you get the idea. There is, yes, definitely a colour change. When I cast it on, I deliberately used the brighter yarn, or the more solid yarn, as the cast on because the contrast would be better. And then when I picked up my second skein, I forgot that there was different things, and I picked up one that didn't have as much contrast, and then down here I'm striping them. So yes, there is a difference, but I don't care, and I'm going to wear it as it is. By the time I realised I was almost finished the colourwork and I wasn't going to rip back. I thought about it. Other times I have ripped back, but because it's in the middle of colourwork as well, I just don't care as much. So last time I showed you this, I was here. I've got Bingo and Bluey marking my spot. I was here, so I've done that much, 5 inches maybe, since I last showed you. This is, oh there you go, day number 4 of the cast-ons. I've got that one there. I don't know if I mentioned it last time. Maybe after I finished last time, I was trying to figure out whether I wanted it to be cropped or not. So I went and weighed the yarn that I had left and realised I didn't have enough yarn maybe to finish it at all. Definitely not to do a full length. And then sleeves. So I was like, maybe I have to do cropped and then sleeves, or maybe I stop and do the sleeves and come back. And then I thought about it. I'm like, when I bought this, the yarn for this, I didn't mod things as much. And so I'm pretty sure I would have bought what it said I needed to buy. So I went back to have a look, and indeed I did have 2 more balls put away somewhere else. But the reason they weren't in my bag is because when I started it, I had it in a smaller bag and they didn't fit. So now I've added the 2 balls back in here, and now I have plenty. Like I'm now striping, so I've got 2 balls that are getting to the end, but I still have 2 completely new balls waiting to go. So when I realized that, I was like, all right, I have plenty of yarn. I'm going to do it to pattern, the length of the pattern that it says, everything to pattern, because I do like having cozy jumpers for wearing around the house or wearing with jeans, as much as I like having cropped ones and wearing with dresses. So this is a jean jumper. I jump it away with jeans. I am really excited for it to be finished. It is thick, it is cozy. I am on the hem. So you split for the hem, like I'm not even through the first row of the hem. How funny is that? You split for the hem. So I've done the split for the hem, and I'm now just going to be working back and forward for the front, and then I'll go and do the back. I'm not sure if I'm going to be striping it on the hem or not. I don't know if that's going to work. So we'll see. In fact, if I do stripe it on the hem, I'm going to have to do 2 rows and then 2 rows, and yeah, I probably won't. I might just stick with the one colour. So that is that. I'm very excited to have it almost done. Still got the sleeves to go, but that's not going to take too long. And this has been my simple go-to project if I need simple knitting early in the morning because the MCAL has been too complicated. So it has got a bit of work during the MCAL. All right, Stephen West, Mystery MusiKAL. I don't know if you have heard about this or if you haven't heard about it, if you're doing it or not. I am going to show mine. I am up to the end of clue 3 and I've done like 2 rows of clue 4. So there's no visual spoilers about clue 4, but I will probably talk a little bit about what I'm expecting and coming up. So if you don't want to hear that, or you don't want to see up to the end of clue 3, then I'll just say bye now. But if you don't care about spoilers or whatever, then I am going to show it. Now, last time I showed you my colours, and I have to say I'm a little bit torn between I'm really glad I chose these colours and maybe I would have preferred it without a mohair dare, because my mohair is a different colour. It's introduced, I think it's made it a bit busier, because it's then 5 colours playing around, not 4 colours playing around. So I'm doing it, but I think I will consider next year whether or not I do it. And if I do it, probably make it a coordinating rather than a contrast. But I'm not really sure yet because that's a year away. So not only am I in the middle of a row, but the needles that they're on are quite short. So let's go through, because you haven't seen this at all in my colours. So let's see if I can do this. This here, these scallops, that's clue 1. I didn't finish it in the first week, but I wasn't far off finishing it in the first week. I did start with my mum here, and my mum has colours. In fact, one of her colours is very similar to this, and that was her colour A. So where I've got navy in these scallops, she had that really bright coral colour, and I was a little bit jealous. I thought it looked absolutely stunning. It still does look stunning, but I really wanted some more bright colour. So when I did this, and you can see, I'm hoping it'll block out so you can see it more. There is some light colour behind the brioche in there, but I really wanted a bit of a pop because I was also doing it at night. Everything was dark. So I introduced the mohair dare here in the colour D. But I also wanted colour D to be in this section. I didn't want to just replace one of my colours with mohair. So I swapped, instead of using the navy for the main parts, I used colour D, the purple, for the main parts, and then the mohair dare where the purple would have been otherwise. Probably should explain this. If you don't know anything about this, Stephen West says this is how many colours you need, this is how much you need of the colours, these are the kind of things you'd be thinking about when you're picking your colours, and then every week for 4 weeks he releases a clue. And you can either look at the spoilers or you can just go in blind. I went in blind. So I started with this one, and I was like, okay, cool, I like that. Then when I started doing a second one and realised that actually it was the same shape, I was like, I'm not sure I want that brightness on every one. So the second one I did according to pattern, with the blue where the blue should be and the purple where the purple should be. Then we started doing a third one. And so I was like, at this point, do I go back and do this brighter one, or do I continue with this one? And I ended up doing a mix of the two. So the blue is where the blue should be and the orange is where the purple would be. So I actually had 3 different designs. And by that point, I realized that we were going to keep making them. And so I did it that this one is unique, these 2 match, these 3 match. I like it. I'm really glad that I didn't do them all the bright, but I'm also really glad that I used some of the orange, some of the purple, mixed it up a bit. Finished that, clue 2 had been released, so I started clue 2, and that is over here. And I have to say, I love this. I love the look of it. I loved knitting it. It is short rows, so you get thicker lines over here than you have over here. Like at the end there, very, very thin. But I do love the effect, the style, everything about this. I finished this before clue 3 was released. So I finished clue 1 and clue 2 in week 2, which also made me feel pretty happy that I was able to do that. I love it. I didn't use any of my mohair dare in this. He said you could do it in the center, but I really wanted all of my 4 colors, and I didn't want to include my pink in the stripes. I liked the idea of the 3 like more blue tone stripes, the cooler tones in here, and then the warmer one in the middle. So I just stuck with that and didn't use my mohair dye at all. Loved it. And if you look at those two clues together, like it's very organic, wavy, beautiful, beautiful, goes really well. Then we get to clue 3. And what you see here is clue 3. It's much more structured. It's much more square, geometric, if you will. And I was unsure. So when I started, you start down here and you're working rows that go on an angle. Very similar in style to the granny stripe, jelly roll blanket, where you're just kind of working a few stitches and joining as you go. But this one also has increases and decreases to get the diamond shape. With this one, he said you could hold your mohair dye double, or you could like hold it with another color. You could hold it double by itself. He said you could replace a color, you could add another color in, or you could do random spots throughout. I chose the random spots throughout. And again, I like it. I feel like I've made it busier by doing that. Like you can see the lines are broken up by having other colors in there. So overall, I still really like it, but it is quite busy. And I did when it was pink, I held it double with the pink rather than replacing it completely over here too, where, you know, if it was blue, I held mohair double with itself. Anyway, so I was like, I'm not sure how that really flows into this, but that's what it is. And then the second part of clue 3, still clue 3, was this basket weave thing. Now, I love this. I enjoyed doing it. It also was helpful because you start with all the stitches and you're decreasing every other row. So you get a very quickly the rows become shorter and they become quicker to do. But I love this. I love having the pink in the background. Again, I like having the cooler tones on top. I kind of was even thinking of doing this with my advent and having an advent of basket weave. I don't know. I love the effect and I think it goes so beautifully with this. But again, I'm not sure how it goes with this. And I'm not sure if it's just that my colours over here are more blue and over here are more pink. But it kind of to me looks like two different shawls. I don't know if you think the same. Feel free to leave your comments about it, but it kind of feels like two different shawls. And I'm now on clue 4. And also clue 3 had a lot more knitting in it than clue 2 did. And it wasn't as fiddly as clue 1, but it still had more knitting than clue 1. And so what I'm wondering even is if when he designed it, he intended it to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and to stop there. But then when he laid it out, he was like, yeah, this needs something else to kind of bring it together. So there is a different section that is clue 4, and that's what I've started up here. It goes the whole length of of where you were working from the end of clue 3. And it is brioche. I have no problem with brioche. I love brioche. It's going to be kind of imitating this brioche down here, I think. I'm not sure. Like it just seems, even if I add, if I add maybe 5 inches this way, but I'm not sure, is that meant to be the top, the bottom, the other side here, like there's like this weird kind of join here, and I'm not sure if that's just it. Like, is that just meant to be the top? I'm just not quite sure. So I'm keeping on going. We're on clue 4. I'm going to finish clue 4. I'm going to finish it to pattern. I weighed my yarn. He said that you need like 30 to 33 grams of each colours for clue 4 as he wrote the large shawl. I have almost 50 grams of 3 colours and 40 grams of the 4th one, plus my mohair. So if I'm thinking it's not big enough, I may just do the same thing another couple of times. He says you totally can do that. and I will decide whether or not or how to include my mohair in this one to buff that out to make it a bit bigger, because I think bigger would be nice. Like, it's definitely not tiny, it's not twists and turns kind of scarf like, but it definitely could be deeper and longer and more blanket like, or more ruggy like. Yeah, so that's where I'm at. Like I said, it feels kind of like two different shawls. But I do love these together. This was like easy to do. Easy. I think this one was more fun to watch that coming out. The organic waves on this side. I did, after starting this one, because you're only working on like 13, 14 stitches at a time, I used my interchangeables and I just took the cord off and used the end. But the ends of my interchangeables, they're mindfulness. They're like 2.5, maybe 3 inches. They're not very long at all. And so I found it awkward to hold them. So I did end up buying some DPNs that arrived. I don't have a local store to me, so I ordered them online and they arrived the day after I finished knitting that section. And I was like, you know what? It is what it is. I don't know. There is an I-cord bind-off, and so I presume that I'll probably use one of them for the I-cord bind-off because I find that easier than pulling the cable around for the other end. But I said to my friends, I will happily buy them now, because every year when I get to this, I use the same size needle and I never have the DPNs. And every year I want the DPNs in the size that I use. I do a 3.75 millimeter. The recommended needle is 3.5, but I find I knit tighter than Stephen West. I don't think I adjust for any other of his patterns, but for the MusiKAL, I do adjust. Yeah, so I bought them and they're sitting there, and whether or not I use them this year, they are there for next year and next time. I will say it is squishy. It's a lot of yarn. Like, this is 200-ish grams, 200 and change grams at the moment. I am looking forward to finishing this one and sinking my teeth into some other things, but I really enjoy the focus of the MusiKAL. I don't know if you've done it before or not, but to just have a month where it's like I'm focusing on one project and every week I learn something different. I'm upskilling in knitting as I do this. But just to be like, I'm just going to pick up this project again. I'm just going to pick up this project, which, as you can see, is why I haven't worked on many other things this month. Yeah. So my only thing was when I was doing certain parts of it that I needed to concentrate on more. I didn't do it first thing in the morning, because first thing in the morning I like to have easy knitting that I can do while I'm reading the Bible, listening to something. At the moment I'm reading Calvin's Institutes in the morning while I knit, so I need to have knitting that I don't have to look at. So yes, I read while I knit, like physical book on a book stand while I knit, which is why my Alli sweater got quite a bit of work. All right, well that is that one. I will hopefully have that finished. My goal is to have it finished by next week, because next week is the official end of the MusiKAL, and last time I still had half of the I-cord bind off to do at the end of the official end. Embrace your own pace. It's not a race, but I would like, once in my life at least, to finish in the time that the MusiKAL is actually run. So that's just a personal goal that I have, and we'll see if I make it. All right, have I not finished anything since last time? Whoa, I've just grabbed my whips and haven't actually thought about finishes. Whoops, I did finish a pair of socks. Shall I go grab them now? All right, sorry about that. I cannot believe I did that. I didn't write show notes today because I was like, I don't have much to show. But I have finished a pair of socks since I last spoke to you. I have shown you to them as whips before, but these are the socks that I finished. How funny. These are trekking sock yarn. I don't even know if I've got the colourway here. Yeah, no, I don't have the tag. These ones are present for someone in Australia, and I was trying to finish them quickly so they could go back with my parents, who very kindly took everything else back. But they didn't have room for this last pair of socks, which was fine. It's not needed for another 12 months anyway. So I still have them here to show you. It is a self-striping yarn. I love how that striping works, and you can see there's just like little pops of, hopefully you can see, little pops of yellow in different colours in the lighter colours. I didn't do a contrast heel, so this is just the same yarn as it's worked up with wherever I'm up to at the time. I was going to do contrast heel, but as I said last time, I was out and I was knitting, and our meeting took longer than I expected, and I wanted to keep knitting. So I just started the heel, and by the time I got home, the heel was almost done. So I didn't do a contrast. I should really put yarn for striping socks in when I pick it. But to be fair, I didn't realise that this would be striping yarn. It was just in a ball, and I started knitting it, and it was a nice surprise. So there we go. They do not match. They're a stripe out, not even a full stripe out. Gosh, they're very close. Yeah, I have a finish. I can't even tell you how much they weigh because they have been wrapped, and I just unwrapped them to show you, but I need to also take them off the blockers and now weigh them. Normally socks that I do, these are a size medium vanilla socks on Magic Loop, 2.5mm needle, and normally they would be 60-ish, 65 grams for a pair this size. So there you go, that's done. I can't believe I almost forgot to show you a finish. How funny. Alright, so that's all my yarny stuff. I don't know how much you'll be able to tell. Oh yeah, look, I cleaned my desk. I did a big cleanup. I had a lot of paper patterns that were like printed or cut that I finally put away. I received a whole lot of a whole lot of fabric from someone who had stopped sewing, and I had organised it and folded it and washed what needed washing and all those kinds of things, and didn't have anywhere to store it. So I bought some tubs and I put that all in tubs so that it is now neater and away. And after I finished that, I was like, I kind of want to keep sorting. So my desk got a nice big clean, and I've been doing a lot more sewing recently. I did finish a dress actually that I was going to grab and show you, but it's in the wash because my daughter put it on straight away. Other than that, there's not really much to say. My house has been hit with kind of cold after cold. Not enough to make people truly miserable most of the time, but enough to stop kids going to school. So that's been a lot of my month. I think I'm coming down with something now. My throat's a bit scratchy, red, has spots appearing. You can't catch it through the camera, it's fine. But I was like, I should record now, because if I do get sick, then it's going to be another week, and then the MCAL's going to be finished, and you won't have seen any progress shots of it. Don't know if you care about that, but I like seeing something in the progress, not just finished. In terms of what I'm going to focus on next, I'm not really sure. I've got the 5 pairs of socks that I may or may not dive into. And if I do, I'm debating doing pattern for some of them at least, because I'm really enjoying patterned things right now. Or I have some kids jumpers that I'd like to get done by Christmas time. Basically, I've got like family Christmas stuff that I want to get done, as well as a finishing frenzy that Ange is doing, and I'm wanting to get things off the needle, so I have needles spare for the 12 cast-ons. And yes, I am doing the 12 cast-ons again. I'm so excited. I even wrote a list the other day, and there's like 38 projects or something on that list, which is much more than 12. So last year what I did was I picked one out of, in fact, one of these bowls up here, I have a pink one. So I picked one every day out of the bowl. It was completely random. It was all the projects that I had yarn patterns, everything for, basically. And so I'd pick it out of the bowl, not knowing what it would be, find the yarn, find the needles, cast it on. And I really enjoyed not knowing and not planning that part. But it also means that there are some things that I've been waiting to cast on for 4 years that I haven't actually done yet, maybe 2 years. So I'm trying to figure out whether I should have less things in the bowl, just the ones that's like, I really, really, really want to cast this on, rather than things that have kind of been there for a long time waiting, or whether I just continue with what I did last year, or whether I just choose 12 projects and tell you each day what I'm doing rather than having the element of surprise. I like the element of surprise. So I don't know, maybe I could do like every other day I pick out of a bowl. I don't know. Tell me what you think. Is the element of surprise a very exciting thing? Because I think it is. Maybe I'll just go through and like narrow down the things that I'm putting in the bowl. So there's still more than 12, but it's not quite as many just random things around. Or maybe I just do it. Last time, the first few days, I was like, this is what I really wanted to do. This is what I really wanted to do. So who knows? All right, that's besides the point. Let me know what you think. Have you done 12 cast-ons before? Are you interested? You don't have to cast on 12 things. It's up to 12 things. And then you work on them throughout the year. Yeah. All right. Well, that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for coming. Please, I would love to hear what you're working on in the comments down below. If you have Advent advice, Advent pattern advice, share that too. And if you don't do 12 cast-ons, if you're more of a I cast on something and I finish it, I cast on something and I finish it, do you have things lined up that you're waiting to cast on? Or do you finish a project and then find something? Does anyone actually do that? Does anyone not have a cue, at least mentally, of what you want to start next? I'm intrigued. All right, and if you're doing the MusiKAL, I would love to see photos if you want to do that over on Ravelry, or you can tell me about what colours you're doing and what you think of the process. All right, I will see you next time. Have a great day, week. Bye.